Hello and welcome back to the Peak Endurance Podcast. Episode 140 is an interview with the amazing ultra runner Jane Trumper. She is the first woman to have completed the Aussie Grand Slam of ultra running with 4 races of 100 miles and over within 3 months of each other. Oh, sounds fun. Jane is also the first woman to have run across the Simpson Desert, and she has also run 2,300 kilometres from the UK to Rome in 41 days, solo. That's one way to travel the world. We will hear all about these races as well as her recent finish at Coast to Aussie just over a week ago. Now, if you're not following the podcast on Insta and Facebook, what are you doing with your life? You can also, of course, as well as following the podcast, follow me. Just search for Isabel with an O. Ross, obviously. And if you got value from this episode, I would love it if you could share it with a friend, either on social media or directly. If you do share it on socials, don't forget to tag me so I can thank you. Thanks in advance. Now, are you sick and tired of being injured or running in pain? In short, you are ready for racing in 2022. Let's make up for the last 2 years, shall we? And come in and see the team at Health and High Performance. Love running again by heading to healthhp.com.au/run. I don't know what's going on there. Or find them on Instagram, Health High Performance. Do you want to know all about ultra running and racing and all the tips and tricks to have your best race possible? I'm finishing off creating a course that will give you all the info you need. Go to the Peak Endurance website to register your interest. I'm having trouble talking today, and I will let you know when it is ready. And of course, if you register your interest now, you will get 15% off the price when it goes live. Seriously, tongue twister today for me. Enjoy my chat with Jane. Hi, Jane, and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast.
Hey,
Thank you. You've had a big couple of weeks, haven't you?
had a big couple of months, but last week was all I could have wished for. I just wanted to, finish Coast to Aussie, so just getting that 10th one in the bag, I'm pretty happy with.
And that's an amazing accomplishment. So well done on that. But of course, we'll get to that specific race in a minute because there's so many. Just for the listeners who might be living under a rock and have no clue, can you tell them about your athletic background? Firstly, how you got into running, and then how you got into these ultra endurance, like huge races and events and runs.
Sure. Back in 1998, we moved to Japan, and I'd never run a kilometre at that stage. So I didn't like parking the car, so I just started walking everywhere. I had a friend that wanted to start running, so we basically just, another friend wanted to do London Marathon for her 40th birthday, so we planned to do that together. I wanted to run mainly because my brother had quadruple bypass when he was 38, and he subsequently has died. But it was sort of, family history is really bad. But, if I can start running, and I was planning on doing London Marathon with a good friend in 2000 or 2001 for our 40th birthdays. And she ended up pulling out with a stress fracture and didn't come with me. So I did London on my own. I knew nobody that ran, absolutely no one. I had no idea what pacing yourself or what I was doing. So that was back in 2001.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, I'm just having a little bit of a trouble with your connection. Are you on your Wi-Fi or?
Bye.
Is it a strong connection?
It should be.
Yeah. All right. Well, we shall persist and see how it goes. So that's how you got into running. What got you into the longer distances then? Did you hear me?
No, I've lost you.
Sorry. What got you into the longer distances?
I think my first 6-foot track marathon was 2003, the year we came back from Japan. And I think it was finding these crazy people that wanted to do longer distances. It really wasn't something I'd planned on doing. It was just wanting to be part of a great group of people.
Yeah.
Some of the old guys that sort of have encouraged me to do this sort of thing, people like Ray James, who is now in his 70s. My first 100-miler was Great North Walk, and it was only a month before the race that he said, "You should do it with me." And I'm going, sure, like what does that entail? I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but it was people that really believed that I could actually do something. Yeah. So I think it was just what I did on a Sunday morning. I'd get up and go for a run with some great friends, and coming back from Japan, it wasn't all that easy to sort of reconnect with the people that I knew 5 years earlier. Yeah. We all had kids at different schools and different ages, so the running community really sort of kept my sanity.
Yeah, the running community is awesome like that, isn't it? It's just amazing. So when he convinced you to do this 100-miler, what was your longest race or run before then?
I'd done plenty of Oxfams, plenty of 100Ks, but never stepped over, to 101 kilometres. And especially on that trail in November, it was pretty confronting.
Yeah, I bet. And did you actually run it with him or just start? Oh, okay.
Yep, we did every step together. I think we finished about half an hour under the cut.
Nice. Well, that's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's what we planned, so it was good.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So then, obviously from there, you've done some pretty epic challenges, like you did the Grand Slam of ultra running and those sorts of things, and the Simpson Desert. Can you talk to us about what possessed you to start going for these unusual challenges?
The Simpson Desert was not my idea. It was Roger Haney's idea. He had got me into hockers already, and he just at some stage just said, no females ever run across the desert. You've got to be the first. And I said, yeah, sure. Like, I don't know.
Once it's said, you have to do it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He said, you just got to go and do it. And there was a group going out there, and that ended up being a disaster because there were fires in the Simpson Desert and we were stopped. So the next year he said to me, you've just got to find some people to support you. And I'm going, I don't know anyone that wants to drive across the Simpson Desert with someone running. Yeah. And I went on the VKS radio website and all the four-wheel drive clubs. And I found a guy and his wife in York in Western Australia that just messaged me, said, you still want to run across the desert? Never met them before. They picked me up from Alice Springs Airport. They've become really, really good friends.
And I bet they'd never crewed for a runner before either.
Never crewed for a runner. We've now done the Larapinta twice with them. The Cape to Cape in Western Australia a couple of times. Gibb River Road. Like they've just become really good friends. They're total four-wheel drive campy people. They're not runny people. But they're very.
That brought you together.
I know. I mean, they could have picked me up at Alice Springs and cut me into little bits and pieces. Some of the desert, but no, they're just good, decent people.
Oh, that's awesome! What a lovely story. That's fantastic, and the fact that they had never crewed a runner before, because it's a difficult chore or task to crew a runner, and it's very precise. So they obviously did a good job to get you across, though.
And Gary would say, those blisters you need to, and I said, don't you tell me what to do with my blisters. I said, if I do something wrong with my blisters, I need to blame myself, not you.
Yeah.
And, we got on really well. It was really good.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So I'm a notorious sand hater. What was it like running? I mean, I just can't fathom that.
I ran from west to east because the sand dunes are more gradual on the way up and steeper on the way down, going from west to east. I did a lot of beach running. Yeah. I was incredibly lucky with my shoes and my feet. There wasn't an issue with sand. It was something I didn't expect what I got. Like the first day got up to 45 degrees Celsius. I drank probably 22 litres of fluid,
Oh my
hardly
God.
feed, had no one on my crew was medical at all. And I had IV fluids and all this stuff that I thought, my God, I'm going to have to give it to myself because these guys had no idea. I had adrenaline in case I got bitten by a snake. But it was a lot hotter than I thought it would be, a lot hotter.
Yeah, wow. So what temperature were you expecting, if not hot?
Well, it was April, and I thought by then the temperatures would have gone down a bit. But I was thinking, mid-30s, but not mid-40s.
Yeah, wow. That is hot, and you're exposed. So,
Yeah.
oh well done. No, what about the Grand Slam of ultra running? When did you do that?
That was in 2009, I think, 9 or 10.
And what year was the Simpson Desert again? Just remind the listeners on that one.
Simpson Desert would have been 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
But the Grand Slam was just there. Like, we were really lucky because Rupert puts on the Great Ocean Walk.
Yeah.
And that was back then a miler. So
I didn't. Yes.
Yeah, they had 100 Ks and 160.
I didn't know that.
I mean, it was a lot longer than 160, but it was at least, over 100 miles. So that was Glass House in September.
Yeah.
And then Coast to Coast in December. So there were 4 races within like 14 weeks.
Wow.
100 miles. So, yeah, it was there to be done, right?
Yeah. Once again, yes, for sure. And you also ran from the UK to Rome. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah. One of my mates at work said to me, Janie, I was listening.
God, it always starts with someone said.
Harbour at work, right? Yeah. No, I actually really thinks it's a good idea. He said, I was listening to the radio and he was listening to someone that was talking about their longest holiday, and they'd walked from Tuscany to the Vatican. And I said, what's this for? And he said, it's a old pilgrim route.
Yeah.
And I looked into it, and the old pilgrim route starts in Canterbury and finishes at the Vatican. And the Archbishop of Canterbury back in 950 AD did it from the Vatican back to Canterbury on horseback. So I thought, well, I'm not going to go to Europe to do just from Tuscany to the Vatican. I'll do the whole thing. So I had everything on my back, my sleeping bag, tent.
Oh, wow. So you were, but I know it said you were solo, but you were fully self-supported.
Fully self-supported, apart from having to get the boat over from, over the English Channel.
Yeah, obviously you weren't going to swim it.
Yeah. And the route was really primitive. Like there was a lot of getting lost, a lot of course, the markings weren't there.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great. I actually really enjoyed doing that one because I was totally on my own, and it was a bit like something I just had to do. It was 2,300 Ks.
Did it feel like a bit of a pilgrimage to you?
No, I'm not religious at all.
No, I don't necessarily mean in a religious way, but sort of within yourself.
It was really good to just be me and not have to do anything for other people or expect other people to do anything for me. Yeah. It was definitely dangerous in spots. And the closer as I went, France was very empty. There were all the little villages were closed.
No.
It was definitely, an old pilgrim route because every single hill with a village on top of it with a wall around it, it's like, that's where I'm going. Like all these, it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But there was some pretty dodgy people around. And there were places where there was nothing for like 80 or 90 Ks. So I had to have my wits about me with carrying enough water, enough food. I got to Rome and I'd lost about 10 kilos. So, it was sort of like not thinking about carrying all that stuff on my back and having to eat more, or not wanting to carry all the food or the water. Yeah. I just love getting into Italy because those Italians are just the most beautiful people. Like the big people that saw me and would sort of stop and ask me if I wanted food, or one guy was sitting at his letterbox and he sort of started talking to me in broken English, and he took me in for a coffee, and he was a teacher at some school, and he had a little pilgrim sticker on his letterbox, which obviously meant that, you know, they welcome pilgrims.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would do it again, but I don't think my husband would let me do it again.
Were you married at the time when you did it?
Yeah. I've been married for 36 years, so he understands that if I've got something I really want to do, I just go and do it. That's
awesome. You're very lucky. I mean, you know, to have a supportive partner, because you know, not everyone does. So that's fantastic. And so about how many kilometers a day were you doing in that one?
I think the highest day was about 76. It was just under 80. And a lot of that was like if I actually found somewhere where I could actually stay the night. Like, I mean, there was accommodation on the way that was, you get this pilgrim passport, and it basically meant you could stay in a church hall, like you could sort of book ahead. I didn't do all that often, but every once in a while you needed a shower. And I had, everything was solar charged. Like, I tried to, you know, charge my phone and all this sort of thing. So every once in a while it was really nice to just get into a building and plug something into a PowerPoint. Which a lot of people, you know, were messaging me going, send us some more photos. I'm going, I don't have any power on my phone. Photos. And, you know, these people are sitting in their armchairs like I am right now going, no, I want to see this and I want to see that. And I'm going, I got nothing. I can't do anything more than I'm doing.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds, I didn't realize it was quite so solitary. And yeah, that's amazing. That's an awesome achievement. Now, as you were saying at the start, you've done now 10 Coast to Cozies. Obviously, at one point you started with the first one. What made you originally want to do Coast to Cozie?
Seeing Spud Murphy and Andrew Hewitt in an Akubra on Facebook or on Cool Running or on some
probably Cool Running, yeah.
And I just went, I need that hat. I don't know what I have to do to get that hat. But, you know, the people that were photographed on that Sunday morning looking absolutely exhausted and just so happy, I thought, I need a hat to make my face look like that.
Well, I love it. That's awesome. You ran for the hat. So then the following year you did it?
Yep.
And so if it's 2021, then I'm assuming that was 2011?
No, it was 2000 and, oh God, I should have checked all this.
Because of course, there'll have been like
only 10, because I've done every year that it's been on, except for 1 year where I crewed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I crewed 1 year.
Good for you. So it wasn't consecutive, but it was consecutive except for that one particular year.
Yeah,
but you were still there, so it kind of still all right. And so what made you want to keep coming back to that race? What is so different and awesome about Coast to Cozie?
The story behind it with Paul and Diane, but just the way the whole race started.
Yeah.
And when you actually know what the emotion that comes out of Paul on the beach down at Eden, you know, he'd be walking along Twofold Bay, just kicking the water, and most people wouldn't even see him do that, and you're thinking he's thinking about the guy that died in the race across Australia that he was involved in, which was the first time he went to Twofold Bay. And I think the love and the passion that was put into that race is so strong. You know, like every year you go down there, you don't want anyone not to finish. Like everyone has really worked hard to get a spot on that beach, and you don't want anyone DNFing, because everyone deserves to be there. Everyone deserves to finish.
No, that's great. So so how do you train for, like you're saying, people deserve to be there, so and work hard? How do you train for something like that?
I had Katie Anderson in my LGA over lockdown, which was really lovely. Every Saturday we'd go for a really long run, and there was one weekend where she was supposed to be doing a miler in the States, and she said, I've got to do a miler. And I'll do half it on Friday and half it on Saturday, and I'll catch with you on the Saturday. And so that was the biggest weekend I had, was 164 Ks.
Wow.
And it's interesting though, because the things that you train for quite often aren't the things that you need to watch. Like I was fine for that 100-miler. My back started hurting at the very end of the 100 miles, and I went, how do you fix your back? My legs are fine, my feet are fine.
Yeah.
How do you fix your back? And I think I finally worked out what the problem is, but it's a bit late because I'm not doing it again. But I think I think when I start running and I'm getting a bit tired, I start looking down and my head is forward, and it gives me this knot in my back, and then I start leaning and leaning and leaning. And I think it's mainly because I'm worried about falling over and I'm looking too close to where I am. So
I get a sideways lean when I'm exhausted in a race, and I can't. It's one of those things. I just, I think it's also the body. Just it's hard on the body, obviously. Yeah. Oh well, and so that was a big week. So you do quite. What's your average sort of long run, would you say?
We're doing. This year, like training for Coast to Aussie, we would have done at least a 50K run each weekend.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I'd rather do a good long run than a whole lot of short stuff. Yeah, people say, "Oh, I've done 150 Ks," but they haven't really done more than like a 22K run. I'd rather do a long one just to see how I feel after it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And do you do speed work and those sorts of things?
Absolutely not. I'm too old for speed work. The speed work injures people, and you know what? I know I'm not going to win. I've been going to the gym. I do a lot of upper body work.
Okay, good.
But no, I do not do speed work, and I never have, and I never.
Oh, really? No. So you just go out for runs?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I do speed work. It's not quite the same as when I was training for marathons. Not quite as fast, but I still try to push it a bit. But yeah, it's interesting to hear that you've never done it, and yet you're still a highly accomplished runner. And like you said, though, if you're not careful with speed work, it can cause injuries.
I mean, I'll push the pace every once in a while, but I'm not. I don't go out and say today I'm going to do speed work. I just no.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And do you do like shorter races in a leader?
I don't think I've done any race shorter than a marathon since I started running marathons.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, because they're pretty painful too, really. In that horrible speed worky way.
I don't throw up in a race.
Yeah. So what about when you taper? How do you taper for something like Coast to Aussie?
It's funny, someone else asked me this. They said, is it a beer taper, a wine taper? And I said, it's a people taper. Like I absolutely, I have 4 grandchildren. I have 3 wonderful kids. I have a wonderful husband. But the few weeks before Coast to Aussie, I need to start looking at me and putting me first.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often. And, every once in a while I feel myself wanting to help someone do this or whatever. And, Pete, you said, Janie, no, like just say no. And it's more that don't do the extra work at work. Don't offer to do, to have the grandchildren more often than I already do. Just taper from being needed by other people.
I like that. That's interesting. A people taper. That's a pretty cool way to look at it. I like that. And but you do reduce your kilometres too, I presume.
Yeah, I think the week before Cozzy, I think my longest run was 20 Ks.
Yeah.
So and then I didn't run for the 5 days before Cozzy.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. And so you were saying that you go to the gym, so you do strength work there and do all that sort of stuff. And did you do strength work on your back?
Yeah, I was working on my back, but I think it's all a posture thing. I think it's you know, your head weighs a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was just that supporting my head in a stupid angle I mean, I started leaning forward, I reckon, around Beloka. So that's, you know, 80 Ks of this big fat noggin not on top of my shoulders. It's like, you know, it's going to end up ugly. So.
And could you, because you were quite leaning forward, could you tell you were leaning forward? Because I know with me when I'm sideways, sometimes I think I'm straight. You could tell.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, by Perisher, I knew I looked like a little old lady on that ride.
Yeah, but a little old lady was doing, you know, over 200 kilometres, so not that little and old.
It wasn't a pretty sight at the end. Like, my husband was really worried because the medics were all around me, and Greg had one of the race directors had come up and said, just take your time, like, just look after yourself. I'm going, no, there's no one behind me. I'm not going to make you guys wait out here, you know, for longer than you have to. And my crew were fantastic. I had Katie, Zed and Pete, and they were all very, very aware that my only thing was I am not DNFing. And that was from the week before, 2 months before. It's like, this is number 10. I've had 10 starts. I'm going to have 10 finishes. There is absolutely no way in the world you are going to suggest I pull out of this race.
So how did you cope with the cold weather?
I was fine. I really was. I felt really sad when, you know, Nikki and Brett pulled out, and I think I wasted, or didn't really, in hindsight, I didn't waste it, but I spent a lot of time getting dry in the car, getting totally naked, getting dry in the car and putting warm clothes on. I did that at Cathcart, and I did it through the water crossing. Yeah, I stayed in the car up that water crossing, and I took everything off, and I dried myself, and I put dry stuff on, and the nighttime was absolutely fine. I've got a fantastic jacket that kept me dry, kept the wind out, and you know, I think I've learned from a few mistakes in the last 20 years on, you know, you don't scrimp on good gear, and
I agree.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I got naked, I got dry, and I think if you don't do that as soon as you're cold, you're in big trouble.
It's like the old saying, you know, stitching time saves 9. And it seemed like you were wasting time, but you actually weren't wasting time at all. You were making time.
And it's not easy getting clothes off when they're wet.
Or in the car.
So yeah, I think I was at that water crossing for probably 45 minutes, just making sure that I was right, because it wasn't dark then, but I thought, you know what, this is the last time I want to do this. Yeah. Until the morning, it was like, this is my night gear. This is what I'm going to wear. And yeah, I was actually quite smart for a change.
I'm sure you always are. So can you tell us what brand was your coat?
Boca.
Okay. Yeah.
It's I don't know how they do it, but it's a shake dry, and it has two zips here. So if I've got a pack on, I can put it over my pack and I can reach stuff.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's
because I like to wear my raincoats over my pack.
Yeah,
and it's like
that. It's brilliant.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds very good. I'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can find that. Wow, yeah. And you obviously had a lot of changes of clothes, because with Nikki, our problem was, I mean, she had heaps of clothes, but we ended up running out because everything got wet. But maybe that was also because her coat wasn't good enough.
Yeah. I bought back so much gear that I didn't use.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really good. And it also shows your experience with the race and that sort of thing, because I'm sure over the years you've come across many different conditions, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that was the worst conditions I've run.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they all sort of mold into just, you know, it is what it is. You get what you get. And anyone that's done Coast to Aussie once thinks that the weather they had was the worst. And I can't tell you which year was the worst. Brick would say this year was the worst because it's the only time he's DNF'd.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was that exceptional. Apart from the water crossings were pretty gnarly.
Yeah. And so it's just gone out of my head what I was going to say. I just thought of a really awesome question, and you'll have to keep thinking it's awesome because you'll never know. So what was your strategy for this year's race?
I had my best times written down for, to Rocky Hall, Cathcart. Yeah. And I just said to the guys, I want to know how far behind my best time I am, but I don't expect to be there at that time. Yeah. And it was more just, I don't want to start panicking about cuts and all this sort of thing. Yeah. And I never had to. I was fine with that. But it was more just finish.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter where in the field. Like it's someone has to come first, someone has to come last.
Yeah, and that's right. Exactly.
And Pete said to me, Janie, it'd be kind of cool. Like if this is your last one, there's nothing wrong with coming last.
No, absolutely. I didn't even realize you were last. Like I see the footage of you finishing, and it didn't even occur to me to think about what position you came in. Do you know what I mean?
No,
it was just awesome seeing you finish.
There were a couple of people behind me at one stage, but like David Benny DNF'd. But yeah, and a few people passed me sort of later in the race than usual. Normally no one passes me after like Big Jack. I'm in my spot, but this year it was like, you know what, I've just got to like look after my back and do what I can.
Yeah. No, I remembered my awesome question, and quite frankly it's not that awesome, but do you prefer the heat or the cold?
Probably the cold. I mean, it doesn't have to be that cold.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's cold and not raining, I love it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
You just have to run, right?
Yeah, because that keeps you warm.
Yeah. With the heat last year, I think there were a lot of people that had a race plan, and it's like, you know what, the race plan didn't involve this sort of temperature, so don't stick to your race plan.
So what did the temperatures get to last year?
I think they were like mid-30s.
Oh.
On the Friday, and then shocking weather on the Saturday.
So you had everything.
Yeah. This year and last year are the only two inclement weather years that I've got an inclement finish. I've done an inclement weather year back in 2013, but I managed to get the whole course done before they called it. But I was quite happy for it to be an inclement weather year this year.
I bet. Yeah. What do you do for nutrition during these long events?
This year I was drinking a lot more Tailwind.
Yep.
And basically just whatever if there's food I can stomach, I'll eat it. Like I had a Vegemite sandwich, a lot of fruit like pineapple, watermelon, what else? Really just whatever I can stomach.
So you don't have a specific nutrition plan? Because I don't know about you, but I find with these long distances you can't, because it changes so much.
There's no point. Like, I mean, the Tailwind's great. I didn't get sick of that.
Yeah.
And that was a big bonus for me. Like, just I said to Pete, I'm not drinking water if I can drink Tailwind.
Yeah.
If I can get the nutrients in. Yeah. And it's weird because like you go into a race and you feel like you're like a kilo or two heavier than you were before. And now I'm, a couple of kilos less than I was when I started the race. So it's you never eat enough. Never.
No, it's impossible to. Yeah. Do you find that like your legs swell and your ankles and all that sort of stuff after a big race?
My hands do, but my legs and my feet were absolutely like I'd done, a 50K run. It was all my back, but my hands were swollen. I couldn't get my watch off at one stage because it wouldn't get over my hand.
Oh, wow. Do you think that was partly because you're putting your weight on your arms?
You see my blister?
Yes. Wow.
That's a blister from the poles. So, I was putting a lot of weight on my arms. My biceps were sore for a few days.
It was a good arm workout. Yeah, but and that's the thing. I mean, a lot of runners, like, they use poles, but they don't realize that it really works your arm, and you need to do some arm work in the gym to get them ready. So
But
like,
yep. It's nice using poles on bitumen like that. It's like, give me some trail or give me some dirt or give me something that doesn't make that silly noise.
I know. I try to get into a rhythm that it's like a meditative sort of tap, but yeah, it ends up just being annoying. So yeah, but I'm sure it was a huge help. And so do you want to just go over like after the race, like with recovery and what's been going on with that?
Sure. So on the Sunday, I was feeling like I normally do, like a bad back, but just euphoric that I'd actually finished, like my little hat stand, and it was all over. And then we drove back on Monday, and I wasn't feeling great. I just felt sick, and I thought, my bloods are probably all over the place. Like, I expected to feel sick. I didn't feel like coffee. I didn't feel like the normal, cheeseburger at Macca's on the way home. And then on Tuesday, it was my birthday, and everyone was for dinner, and I said, let's get Thai food. This is like the week before. Let's get Thai food, and a few wines and that. And my daughter came over, and she just looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, I just feel sick. And she said, "Are you okay?" And she's a doctor, and I sort of said, "I've just got this like upper epigastric pain, and that's like a sign of a heart attack."
Yeah.
I work in a cardiac theatre, and I listen to some of these things that these signs people have, and they ignore them. And she said, "Mum, let's just go to emergency and get an ECG." And I went, yeah, sure, okay. And we just packed up, got in the car. They put me through pretty quickly, and just sort of did an ECG, and they said, "Your ECG is fine." My chest X-ray was fine. They took some bloods and said, "Your bloods are absolutely all over the place," which I expected. Like my CK was,
that'd be off the chart.
Was like 14,000, and that was like that was over 3 days post run.
Wow. So high.
Yeah, and they didn't know whether I had a stomach ulcer. They didn't know whether it was anything to do with my heart. My troponin levels, if anyone knows what they are, it tells you whether you've had a heart attack or not.
Oh.
They were about 3 times the higher limit, but that is nothing compared to what it is when you have a heart attack. Okay. So they weren't worried about that.
That's good.
And I've still got a few things that they want to investigate, whether it's a stomach ulcer, a stress ulcer, or whatever. But I feel fine now. I feel absolutely fine. I've actually been for my first run today.
Oh wow, that's good.
It's only about 8 Ks, but it was kind of nice to get out there and not sort of think about my back.
Yeah,
because for the first week post Coast to Aussie, every time I dropped something on the floor, I'd swear, like it's like, who's going to pick that up?
You needed one of those special things that's got a little claw on the end.
Hey, isn't over yet. Pick that up. But I can fix. I feel much better now. So
that's good.
And I'm very grateful that I've got a daughter that's got so much common sense, because you don't bullshit. Cardiac history. My brother's dead. My parents are dead. It's like,
and look, it's so easy to say, oh no, it's nothing. But it's best to err on the side of caution. Like seriously, what's a few hours getting a test done?
Yeah. I mean, they're also querying rhabdo and a few other things.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering when you told me. I was thinking, oh, rhabdo.
And I said to the guy, I'm peeing really well. I'm drinking lots.
Yeah.
And he was really good. He said to me, usually we keep people like you in overnight, but you sound like you know what you're talking about. I went, that's a first. So I got discharged, and I've just been looking after myself.
So how many days is it post race now? 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nearly.
Yeah. Well, around about that. So you've been for an 8K run. So how do you structure getting back into running after you've done something this big?
Can you not show anyone this for at least another week? I have the main reason I went for a run today is because I'm supposed to be pacing Melbourne Marathon on Sunday.
Oh, James. Typical ultra runner.
I've paced Melbourne for the last few years, and they just sent me an email saying, do you want to pace again? I went, yeah. And then, Melbourne moved to 2 weeks after Coast.
Yes, of course.
And I spoke to the pacing guy, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to, how I'm going to go. He said, you've always been fine. I'm going, yeah, but I've never done Melbourne 2 weeks after Coast to Cosy. So we'll see.
What group are you?
The 4.5 hour.
4.5.
Yeah. So my run today was 6:20 Ks average, and I think I will go for another run tomorrow. I'll go do a long one tomorrow, just for up here, not for my leg.
So it's about a 6:20 pace for a 4:30 marathon, is it?
Yeah. And there are two people pacing 4:45 and two people pacing 5 hours, and I started thinking, maybe one of them wants to finish earlier.
Yeah.
But when I got out there today, I thought, I don't know if I could actually run consistently slower than that.
Sometimes it's hard to run slower than your natural pace, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'll stress myself out for the next few nights going, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. And then hopefully on Sunday morning, I'll just get up and go, you know what?
Yeah, just do it.
4.5 hours of pain or whatever. Let's just go.
So I am actually putting this podcast out tomorrow so everyone can look out for you there.
Thanks, Sid.
And then I'll say, Jane, you should be resting. No, that's, I mean, and I was going to say what's next for you, but yeah, that's it. But what is next for you? Do you have any big runs or races or anything in the pipeline?
I have absolutely nothing planned. I think for January, I really want to get into some swimming.
Okay. Thinking of doing an Ironman?
I would love to do one Ironman. I have done ocean swims before, but I've really sort of let that lapse with the amount of running I've been doing. And I sort of think it's time to sort of mix things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've done the Olympic distance tries a couple of times. So, maybe just change everything around and just, do the marathons and maybe get on the bike a bit more and get in the water.
I mean, all cross training is good anyway, so I'm sure it'll be beneficial, so that's what you're going to be doing, incorporating some different sort of distances. And as you said, it was your birthday the other day, and we were on the Women in Ultra Running webinar a few weeks ago, months, God, I don't know, forever ago. And there was a question, someone asked, how do you deal with menopause when you're running? And I absolutely loved your response, because yours was, well, just keep running, just go for a run, So, and like, I haven't gone through menopause, so I don't know, but does it affect your running?
Look, so many things affect your running, just your headspace, what's going on in your private life, what's going on.
How many wines you had the night before?
Yeah, I've never really thought about it too much.
Yeah.
And even another really good friend of mine said, I'm getting I'm getting fat around my tummy, and to me it's like I felt like that at one stage, but also like more exercise and better eating. Is just you just.
I mean, that can happen regardless of menopause, quite frankly.
Yeah, true. And also with like I'm a nurse, and I see what goes on with some people's lives. I think, you know what, if you're going through menopause, it means you've probably been able to have children.
Yeah.
You're the luckiest people in the world to have kids and family. Menopause is just part of it. Okay, it sucks that the men don't go through it, but you know what, we're not alone. We're all, we're all in it. And I think, you just, if you need help getting through it, there's hormone replacement therapy and whatever, which I've never needed. I just think, I'm now 61, so, yeah.
Because it is a common concern I hear from women. They seem really stressed about the concept of menopause, and but it's really refreshing to hear someone like yourself say that you've just got to, take it as one of the other things in life that can make running difficult.
I mean, there are people out there running coast to coast with their period.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
that's either. Like, just,
Yes.
you know,
That's no fun.
it's not fun.
No.
But, you know, running is, and finishing a race is, and,
Yeah.
you know, got to take the good with the bad, and, you know, always glass half full. Easy.
Yeah. No, and that's a really good attitude. And I think it would help people get through menopause too, to have that attitude as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. It was great to talk to you. And when you were saying with the Ironman, did you have any particular race in mind?
The flattest one. No waves.
Yeah, I was going to say in the bay.
No, I'm not thinking that far ahead yet.
Yeah. And do you have any like last sort of piece of advice for someone who is contemplating Coast to Aussie?
Just pick your crew.
Yeah.
Pick your crew. I've been so incredibly lucky, and you know, this year, you know, Pete's crewed for me 3 times now, and I was more worried that I was picking crew for him, and having a group of people that could have fun in the car. You know, it's not all about the runner and saying, I want you, you, and you. It's like, I want you 3 to feel like you're going to have a really good weekend.
But do you find as the runner that you pick up on that good mood too?
Oh, I've had some hilarious crews. I've had some absolutely hilarious crews, and you pick up on friction, and you pick up on people just bonding. You know, people that haven't met each other before just going, this guy's awesome, you know. And I don't think it matters whether they're male or female. I think it matters that they're down there. You know, like Zed had never been down there, and it was great to have someone new with this fresh, oh my God, like I'm so grateful that I'm here. And it's like, I'm so grateful you're here, you know, and having Katie, who's won the race before, you know, being Katie, and having, you know, dear old long-suffering Pete as well.
Oh, well, that's awesome. I like that. It is that is a good piece of advice, because also crewing Coast to Aussie is quite different to crewing any other ultra, you know, sort of out there. So that is important advice. All right. Well, thank you so much. How can people follow you on social media? Do you get out much on social media?
Hardly ever. My Canterbury to Rome is on ultra small WordPress, but I don't do much.
No. Okay. So we won't follow you. I'll put a link to your that website blog thingy, and people can have a bit of a read. Sorry?
It hasn't been updated for years. I think
I know, because I looked at it.
It's hard not. The only things I do on that are things that I've done overseas, or when I've actually just been on my own, where you can actually write something. Whereas, you know, but I haven't even written my race report for Coast to Aussie yet.
Yeah. So you do normally do a race report?
Yeah.
And where do you publish that then?
Just on my Facebook.
Oh, okay. So that's what I meant. If they look for you on Facebook, they'll get to see that at least.
Possibly.
If you get around to doing it. With a follow-up of a report of how Melbourne Marathon goes.
Oh, now.
It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. All righty. Thanks again. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Izzy.
Bye.